All right, today we are tackling the garage door. It is French doors. French doors don't fit a car. Let's get a car in here. So I got a bunch of 2x2 steel. We're gonna be building the wall first, the door first, and then I'll be taking this wall out when I can actually mount it because I don't want weather getting in here. But I need to get organized and move a bunch of stuff around first. But the idea is to build that back into a garage door. So they did, at some point, move some of the rafters up. Not sure how code compliant any of this is, but you know, that'll be okay. I might continue that and move up a few more of these to get a little more ceiling space so I can actually jack the car up pretty high in here. But that'll be another thing. Today's job is just the door. So we'll get going on getting this out of here. Getting it back to garage door. Could almost see the ground. We didn't get snow for like 3 days, and then it's been snowing all day today. Super fluffy. So we got like 4 inches, but it's just really fluffy powder. Anyway, I'm gonna start. I'll probably just do time-lapse stuff, but have the TCT saw. Gonna start by cutting a 45 degree on every piece of this and then measuring from there. If you're ever doing this and you want accurate stuff, always cut, if you're cutting an angle, always cut your angle first, then measure from that and mark your point. If you measure off of here for your final line and then try and cut, you're never going to be quite accurate enough. So just a quick tip. All right, got all those pieces cut to length. Not an endorsement in any way. I don't have a sponsorship from any company. Be cool if anybody wanted to. The Evo saw, the Evolution saw, the TCT saws, any of those are awesome. If you're cutting with an abrasive disc still, get a new saw. Like, yeah, you'll spend $300-400 for a decent one. Worth every penny. You'll save so much time. Blades are kind of pricey, but with the time savings and how clean of a cut you get, I can just weld straight on all these. I'm not worried about that at all. There's no like frayed overhangings or toenails or whatever you want to call them from the abrasive saws. There they are. Cut. I'm going to square them up and clamp them and weld. This is just not like anything too fancy, just for a door, so I'm not really gonna worry too much about chamfering the edges or anything like that. I just want to get this done. Again, another tool tip. The whole point of my channel, if anybody hasn't noticed, is to do stuff on a budget, and I do carry that into some tools. Some tools it's worth getting on a budget, like my Vulcan welder I love. Never had any issues in 6 years now, 5 years, 6 years. But stuff that is worth the money, Fireball tools, made in the USA, like the best squares money can buy pretty much. Jason, I believe his name is awesome. I think I hold the record still on the hardtail vise pounds of force. So that's kind of cool. But they're worth every penny. Builds awesome tools in the US and fully machined squares. They're sweet. Okay, so got that one frame welded up. Just so you guys know, this is definitely farm spec job here, so this floor is not level at all, but still the Fireball Tools squares will help so much because they have the little tabs on the bottom, so you can actually level, if you have enough clamps, you can actually level your part and square your part up in two directions, not just the 190. So those are super nice, so even if your floor is junk, you can still get a pretty dang square part. So yeah, this is going to be a 50-50 split barn door. Just open up, be able to get a car in here. I'm going to have to take that shelf out there and then take that wall that they put in there. This used to be a garage door, so put it back to the way it was. Got these frames all welded up, just basic square. I really don't think they're going to need all that much support. I don't think they'll drag. This is 14 gauge steel, 2x2, welded all around at 45, so I think that should be plenty sturdy. Everything is expensive, so when I went to figure out what to face them with, there's no good solution, but this is what I came up with. These are 6-foot fence posts from the Orange store, and basically I'm just going to run them, trim them down and run them across the frames like this, and then eventually down the line I'll trim it out so it looks a little bit nicer than just having boards going straight across it. Other thing I got for this is 1.5 inch thick Artec insulation. It's just styrofoam with the reflective back. That's going to go in the door as well, and then I'll face the inside of it with something else eventually. I think we have some OSB sheet just kicking around in the garage, so I'll use that probably. But that's where we're at. I'm going to trim these to fit, and before I screw those on, which I'll be using these tech screws, the wood to metal ones, they basically drill the wood out so it doesn't pull the wood up and will self-tap into the metal. Those things are sweet. That's what I use on the subfloors in the vans. And before I do that, though, I am going to modify these hinges. I picked up, these are going to get welded to these frames and then lag bolted to the building because the building's wood. So I'm going to weld these, and then I might kind of notch the wood out so they sit nice and flush with the 1/8 inch thickness of these hinges, but we'll see. All right, I'm going to get after it. So a couple things of note. These were $2.25 a piece. So I got 34 of them. It should only take 32, but I got a couple extras. And you only have that much of an offcut on this because they're 6-footers, so that's nice. They're not the best quality boards, but they're fine. You'll see in the video I was setting up this fence. This is not the way I would advise to do it, but it is super helpful if you haven't done this before. So basically setting up a stop so you can just slide the board in and you don't have to measure out each one is super nice. So on this, I didn't actually have a stop, but I just lined it up with this edge. It's close enough for this. But you'll notice that my stop was on my offcut side. And that is not the best route to go, because if there's slight variations in board length, which there usually is, they're not all going to be the same because I'm referencing from my offcut side. So these are probably all the same, but not my actual boards. But since I don't have an actual chop saw stand right now with a stop, That's the easiest way I could do it without putting in a lot of effort. So it'll be close enough for this. And these were in surprisingly good shape. Usually when you go to Home Depot and look at the fence posts or fence materials, they're all U-shaped and bent and whatever else. These were in pretty decent shape. All relatively straight, only a couple little cracks here and there. And I didn't even have to dig through that much. So I hope this will work well for this. But also, that's the same blade that I was using to cut the steel. And it glides right through this wood after cutting all that steel. Again, further, hardly any tear out or anything like that. Further proof in the pudding here that the Evo saw is sweet. So I'm going to be finishing up these garage doors here, hopefully today. So what you'll see me do in this next step here is grind back the welds where I am facing the wood pieces, just to make sure they sit flush. I have to tear this wall out and get ready to actually hang the doors. So we're getting there. Hopefully these are in today, and possibly I can pull a car in here today, which would be sweet. Okay, doors are coated and insulated. Should be ready to mount them. So now comes the time for this. So, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. It's my best Reagan impression. Sorry guys. It's gotta go though. Felt like Blinken from Robin Hood Men in Tights. He's going at that pole for like 20 minutes because he's blind with the sword in the sword fight.
Gotcha.
So I felt like chopping away at this ice.
That makes sense.
It's all like when I was done. Say hi, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan. So the wall is out of the way. And we're gonna see if we can hang some doors. Somebody used the hinges that were on here, the old hinges. Somebody used regular threaded bolts as lag bolts into wood.
That doesn't, I don't know much, but that doesn't seem.
This is a huge pain to get those out because they didn't want to thread out because they weren't threaded into anything. So I had to pry bar every one of them out. Anyway, let's get to it here. So this is the finished door. Pretty straightforward, but it works pretty well. I do have to go back and seal. Probably gonna do the little brush seals on this, just around the outside. Got a little bit of air leakage. And I'm gonna pop some handles right here and another latch from the inside so I don't have to go back outside and around to close the door. But the only real issue with the air leaks, like it's warm enough in here, that insulation really helps. The only real issue with those air leaks is the wind has all kinds of snow drifts that come through here. So it kind of like swirls around and then shoves snow in through there. And it's been making the floor kind of wet in here. Snow just comes in and then melts. Oh, what is that? Where did that come from? I don't know. Anyway, here's the door from the outside. As you can see, it's a door. Doesn't line up perfectly, but good enough for what it is. It works pretty well. I got a car in there the other day, and that was the goal. So anyway, that's the door project.